In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. And God said, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water." And it was so. God called the vault sky. And there was evening, and there was morning the second day. And God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear." And it was so. And God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants, and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it, according to their various kinds." And it was so. And there was evening, and there was morning, the third day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years, and let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth." And it was so. God made two great lights, the greater light to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. He also made the stars, and God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning the fourth day. And God said, "Let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky." And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful, and increase in number, and fill the water in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth." And there was evening, and there was morning the fifth day. And God said, "Let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals." And it was so. And God said, "Let us make mankind in our image." Then the Lord God formed a man from the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. Now the Lord God had planted a garden in the east, in Eden. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And there was evening, and there was morning the sixth day. So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. He took one of the man's ribs, and then closed up the place with flesh. Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to the man. The man said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh." We have just listened to the first fragments of Genesis, the first book of the Bible, illustrated in thread in this embroidery known as the Tapestry of the Creation, an outstanding piece of European medieval art. Many scholars have tried to establish the liturgical and artistic origins of this piece, but many questions still lack any clear answer today. The composition recalls the layout of a large Roman mosaic. Around this big wheel, we find the four winds. At the corners, the four rivers of paradise, the Pishon, the Tigris, the Euphrates, and the only one that survives, the Gihon. Next to the river, we find two symbols of strength, Samson and Hercules. Completing the top of the tapestry is the year and the four seasons, summer, autumn, winter, and spring. The sides show the months of the year. February, month of hunting. March, portrayed with the stork that heralds spring. April is time for planting. In May, warriors and horses prepare for war. June is a month of fishing. On the right, we can see fragments of July, with a peasant reaping and harvesting. August suggests a hand holding a sheaf of corn. September is identified with winnowing, and October is grape-picking time. The representations of Sunday on the left and Monday on the right survive. It is supposed that the rest of the days of the week were at the bottom. At the bottom edge, we find a scene symbolizing the Christian concept of salvation, the discovery of the true cross in Jerusalem by Helena, mother of the Emperor Constantine. Finally, a fragment of a large cross and an ornamented crown survive. This image represents Saint Helena or the Emperor Constantine. This is where a long list of as yet unanswered questions begins. An embroidery, carpet, canopy or baldachin of uncertain origin by unknown authors continues to describe to us, nearly 1,000 years later, the origin of time, order out of chaos. All as God ordained.